Here's a thing most people don't realize. You can build an AI research agent, one that searches the web, reads a dozen sources, and hands you a cited answer in about 40 lines of code. No framework, no vector database. Let's actually build one. Ask a normal chatbot something that happened last month and you get a confident shrug. It guesses. Sometimes it invents a source that was never real. A research agent fixes that by doing what you'd do. It looks things up first, then it answers. We'll build this in 2 passes. First, the simplest version that works. One model call with a web search tool bolted on. Then we level it up into a real research agent that takes your question apart, runs searches in parallel, and stitches the findings into one report. By the end, you'll have something you can actually point at your own questions. So what makes this an agent instead of a chatbot? One thing, the loop. A chatbot answers once and stops. An agent runs in a circle. It thinks it acts by calling a tool, it reads what came back, and then it decides whether it needs to go around again. It keeps looping until it genuinely has the answer, and only then does it break out. Here's the entire tool. You give Claude Web Search by dropping one block into your tools list. Type, name, and an optional cap on how many searches it's allowed to run. You're not writing a scraper. You're not signing up for a separate search API. Anthropic runs the search on their side. Send a question, and Claude looks at it and decides it wants to search. The response comes back with a stop reason of tool use. That's the model raising its hand, saying it needs to run something. Your code runs the tool, passes the result back as a tool result, and the model keeps going. Search a little, read a little, search again. When it's finished, the stop reason flips to end turn. And here's the part that feels like cheating. Because web search is a server-side tool, you don't even write that loop. Anthropic runs it for you. The searching, the reading, the looping all happen inside a single API call. What lands back in your code is the answer, with citations attached, real links, not made-up ones. Run it, and you get something like this. You ask, and instead of a guess, Claude goes and searches, pulls the real numbers and answers with the sources sitting right underneath. That, right there, is a working research agent. 40 lines, give or take. But let's be honest with ourselves. One model running a few searches is a sharp assistant, not a research team. Real research is wider than that. You don't answer a big question with a single search. You break it into pieces, chase each piece down on its own, then pull everything back together. So let's make it do exactly that. Pass 2. First move is decomposition. We ask Claude to take the question and split it into 3 or 4 focused sub-questions. Ask it about electric cars, and it might spin out. What's the real range today? What do they actually cost? And how good is the charging network? Each of those is small enough to nail. Now the fun part. Instead of one model grinding through those one after another, we fire off a separate agent for each sub-question, all at the same time. Everyone gets its own web search tool. They all go hunting in parallel. 4 questions, 4 little researchers working at once instead of standing in a line. Here's a money saver worth knowing. The search agents are doing grunt work. Query, skim, summarize. You don't need your biggest model for that. Run them on Haiku, which is $1 per million input tokens. Save Opus at 5 for the final synthesis, where the thinking actually matters. Cheap model for the legwork, the smart one for the write-up. Once the search agents report back, you've got a pile of findings. A paragraph or 2 from each, every claim carrying its own sources. We hand that whole pile to one last model. Its only job is synthesis. Read everything, settle anything that conflicts, and write a single clean answer that flows. The synthesis call is almost boring, which is the whole point. You give Opus the original question plus all the gathered findings, and you tell it to write the report and keep the citations intact. Notice the model string, Opus 4.8. That's the current top model, and it's the one you want holding the final draft together. And this is the payoff. One question goes in. A few seconds later, a structured cited report comes out, pulled from a dozen sources your agent went and read for you. Organized the way you'd actually want to read it. The whole thing, working end to end. And because those searches ran in parallel, it isn't just thorough, it's quick. 4 agents searching at once finish in roughly the time one agent needs for a single pass. You went 4 times wider on the research without making the user wait 4 times as long. So zoom out. A research agent is really three ideas stacked. 1. The loop. Think, search, read, repeat. 2. Real tools. Give the model live web search instead of stale memory. 3. Fan out. Split the question. Search in parallel, then synthesize. Stack those three and you've built something genuinely useful in far less code than you'd guess. Want the full code? It's coming in a follow-up, so hit subscribe and you won't miss it. This is the context window where I go find the cool stuff in AI so you don't have to. See you in the next one.